During the lockdown, we took a hiatus from the topic of expert positioning to explore the more urgent topic of personal wealth and how to become poverty-proof. As global business slowly creaks back to normalcy, we can return to that primary question: how can you position yourself as a top expert in your field? Let's explore the idea of thought leadership content, how you can add simple tweaks to the way in which you approach your content and the way in which you deliver it in order to be that much more memorable and that much more effective. Here we're talking about the writing of books, the creating of YouTube videos, or perhaps even the writing of an article. Any content that you put out into the world will benefit from these 6 simple tweaks. Yesterday we covered the first one, which is get to the heart of the matter quickly. Your opening, be it your opening sentences in your writing or the opening few moments of your delivery, if it's a speech or a delivery to camera, should tightly frame the issue. This is often best done with a question like, how can you? And you get directly to the heart of the information, to the promise to your reader or to your viewer. That's the first of our 6 tweaks. We have 5 more. Tweak number 2 is speak with an audience benefit in mind. So instead of the typical framework for, say, academic delivery of information, which is often delivered outside of or exclusive to any relationship with a viewer or an audience, it is simply presented as information in isolation. Thought leadership content tends to do something very different. It will directly address itself to one person and their benefit. So for example, it will say, here's how you can, and it will even use rhetorical devices like, have you ever been frustrated about? What if you? And it's all delivered directly as to a single person. So tweak number 2 is to orient your information around audience benefit. Following on from that is tweak number 3, which is the style of language that you use. Radio presenters are often taught this very simple trick. You don't imagine thousands of listeners out there. You imagine one person and talk directly to them. And again, that then brings in these rhetorical devices like questions that you ask. Have you been frustrated by this? Would you like to accomplish that? And possibly the strongest form of that is to understand the identity of your listener, your reader, or your viewer, and specifically who they're trying to become. If you're able to talk to them about their aspirational identity, who they want to be, you will be that much more effective. That's tweak number 3. Tweak number 4, stay abreast of findings and falsifications. The academic and scientific tradition is really about this process of falsification. An idea is proposed or put forward and people essentially test it in different ways. Whatever survives the vetting process is held to be contingently true. Now the same of course applies in any body of knowledge, but for an expert, for a guide, a guru, a coach, it is very easy to get caught up in what you knew 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. New books are written all of the time, and not only are new ideas proposed, but cherished ideas become falsified as they're tested over time. Now that doesn't mean that you're going to have to spend a great deal of time doing academic study, but it does mean you have to have read, say, the top 3 or 4 books on your craft, on your field, on your industry for this year. There have been new books published this year. Have you read them? Are you aware of the themes, the trends, and most importantly, which ideas have been falsified? Few things disqualify you as an expert quicker than preaching something that has been disproven. Tweak number 5, one of my all-time favorites. Speak in memorable, moving visuals. This comes to us courtesy of writers like Steven Pinker, the cognitive psychologist, who points out that although the brain is able to handle abstract representation, charts and graphs and numbers and so forth, what really lights us up and what persuades us tends to be moving imagery in the theater of the mind. Now, people who come from a technical background often misunderstand this one and assume that it's a dumbing down of. No, it's not. It's a representation of the picture of the thing in the mind. The human mind is so constructed that we tend to think in picture stories. Now that doesn't mean that they can't be complex picture stories or that they must be inaccurate in some way. They can be 100% accurate, but they must do something that people can see. If you want to take that one further, do take a look at his book, The Sense of Style. I often say you don't need to read the whole book, just the first 50 pages will revolutionize your writing. The gist of it is as simple as this. Tell stories that make your points come alive. That's tweak number 5. And tweak number 6, be subtle in your personal goals. All thought leadership content has some goal on the part of the author or the creator. Whether it's to have people like or subscribe to a channel, whether it's sales of books or courses, or whatever the case might be, what you want to do about that one is to give genuine good value up front, and then keep whatever sales pitch you might have extremely subtle. Don't exclude it. It is important because people who are reading your content may want to go further with you, and not to mention how they can is actually a form of devaluation of your message. But lead with good content. There is nothing worse than hardcore sales pitches posing as thought leadership. Keep it subtle. Do something at the end, whether it's a byline, a link to a site, or a mention of something that they can take you up on. Make sure that it's very subtle and downplayed, but at the same time, extremely clear. Those are 6 simple tweaks that you can make in order to make sure that your content is much more effective, much more memorable, that it hits the mark every time. Next, we'll look at a few simple things that you can do to ensure that people notice your content. It's all very well to be the Shakespeare of YouTube, but what if they're not spotting it in the first place? There are a few simple things we can do to rectify that. Folks, if you haven't subscribed, please do. If the videos are helping, please do share them. We are coming out of a difficult time for business, and we need small and medium businesses in particular to survive and thrive. If the ideas are useful to you, they may be useful to someone else. Please share them. If you're interested in the possibility of writing and publishing your own book, please take a look at my Audible guide called The Complete Tiny Little Guide to Becoming an Author, in which I guide you through the process of constructing and writing your book and give you some tips and insights in terms of how to make it compelling for a publisher.